Hello, and welcome to the Radical Fabulatorium. I'm your host, John Adam Ian. Okay, on today's episode, I am chatting with Zachary Greer. Zachary is a composer based out of Fredericton, New Brunswick. He recently won a Canadian Screen Music Award for Best Original Score for his work on Into the Fray, Episode 3 to be precise. If you want to look up Zach's work or get in touch or check out any of his music, find links to his Bandcamp and etc., head on over to zacharygreer.com to check out all his beautiful compositions. He's also recently accepted a teaching position at St. Thomas in Fredericton, New Brunswick, so we talk about that just a little bit. And also just a heads up, we recorded this in November. I had plans to release it sooner than now, but December happened, holidays happened, and I guess the whole month just kind of got away from me. So in case, I think it's pretty much evergreen. But if we talk about anything that's kind of like up and coming in the next week or two, just know that this conversation took place in November. So that's probably not accurate anymore, but that just is how it goes. All right, here we go. My chat with Zachary. All right. Hey, Zach, thanks for coming on the Radical Fabulatorium today. Appreciate you giving me some of your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you're kind of fresh off kind of a big deal, right? Winning the Canadian Screen Award? Or a Canadian Screen Award, I should say.
Canadian Screen Music Award.
Music Award, yeah. Cool.
The Canadian Screen Award is like, that'd be like the next sort of step up, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, I actually didn't know that. There's levels to it.
Yeah, they do. Well, they do their own sort of Canadian Screen Award that has the directing and writing and all those awards too. This is a separate thing through the Canadian Screen Composers Guild.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's specific to screen composers and screen music and everything like that.
Wow, that's
which is also really cool because it's all collected, of your peers and people that we work with and all that. So it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should say it was for Into the Fray, the episode 3, right?
Yes, yeah.
And you're kind of like up against the composer from Dark Side of the Ring, right?
Who was that?
Let's do some fact checking.
Yeah.
It was Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Andrew Gordon McPherson. Dark Side of the Ring, Ludwig Borga, Hellraiser from Helsinki, episode 2.
Okay. Yeah.
I only know that's like the series. I remember I've watched that series and like the music's usually pretty good.
Okay.
So I just thought that was.
Oh yes, Andrew. Yes.
I'm assuming he must be I just assumed he must be a relatively established guy.
He is. He's phenomenal too. And I just like totally had a brain fart there. He's great. He did another show that I think was on Hulu. It's I'm trying to remember what it was. It's like a music documentary. It's a history of, it might be a specific band but anyway, he's fantastic. Cool. He's great. So yeah, I mean, I was very surprised to get the win.
Yeah. Did you you didn't see it coming at all kind of thing, or?
I just kind of was like, you know what? This was my first time getting here and then being nominated is, I was just like, hey, it's really cool to be here. And the venue there that they did the event at was super sick too. It's at the El Macombo in Toronto.
Okay.
And it was super, super nice spot. The production of the whole event was really, really nice. Like they really took some care into making it feel like a nice event for everybody. So it was just really fun, really nice to be there. So it was just a, nice, icing on the cake or something,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So do you mean it was also your first nomination?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So you won first nomination, first win.
Yeah.
Wow. That's exciting. Congrats.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
That's really cool. I was listening to it earlier this morning as I was like refreshing my mind on the score, and it's quite, and all your music, to be honest, like I love how it jumps around quite a bit. Like obviously there's like I don't know if there's I know you mentioned there's an 80s horror movie. Inspiration
there's definitely some
music.
Yeah, there's definitely some 80s inspired stuff, especially for that score too.
Yeah.
Kind of a.
How do you decide that? Because then some of your scores have, the quartet or what you would imagine, like the orchestrated information. But how do you pick and choose when those sounds are appropriate?
So that was really that was really my brother that sort of pushed me in that direction.
Okay.
He basically just gave me some other films, other composers, even just like as shooting off points to get into the headspace. And before I even saw any footage or anything like that, it was just like, okay, this is kind of the tone. This is where I want to go with it. This is what kind of what I'm envisioning it to end up being. And so, yeah, I just kind of was like, okay. And then I knew the story anyway from just conversing with him. So then I just started writing stuff and then sending it. And we basically just pieced it together that way. If something wasn't working, it was like, okay, I'll change that, and we try something else. And then, eventually we got to a spot where we were like, this is all good. This is where we're at. And then it just, after that, everything just sort of unfolds after that. You're just really trying to piece things together in certain scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're building for a scene, how do you know how long a piece needs to be? And like whether it's going to like just loop, like I'll call it a regular song would have the verse, chorus thing going on. But how do you know when you're scoring whether it needs to be like a 2-minute piece versus like a 9-minute piece?
Well, that would just be your conversation with the director, whoever's making the decision on where they want the music placed. And you typically on a project, you would have a spotting session where you'd go through the cut of whatever it is, if it's episodes or if it's a film, and you'll map out all the, the in and out of where you want music, where they don't want music. Maybe they want just subtle little, stings or little things just to accent certain character beats or stuff like that. So you would have that all kind of pre-planned. And then after that, it's up to you to maybe take some liberties and try some things. And maybe they won't like it, or maybe they will. It might they might be like, oh, wow, yeah, actually, I really, really dig that. They might not have thought of that. Okay. So that's typically how you come up with your length for a scene. You really pre-plan it.
Okay.
And then you feel it out. And oftentimes I feel it out playing something to the scene, whether it's just piano or guitar or a synth instrument that I'm using. I like to play along with the scene and feel it out, see how it's going.
Okay. Yeah. And that's called a spotting session?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Okay. So you'd be watching, is that with like actual footage or like a storyboard, or probably footage, I guess, eh?
It would be footage typically when you're doing a spotting session, but even just pre-planning, I was just talking about this with different people. It seems to always come up. A lot of times, composers, especially for film and TV, not so much TV maybe, because the schedules for that is so crazy. Like the turnarounds, they're like bang, bang, bang. It's with a film, you can often get started early. And you can do some demos and then send them to the director and be like, hey, what do you think of this? Just based on the vibe that they give you and how they explain things. And even from the script, you can just come up with, okay, this is where I'm thinking tonally we should be going. And sometimes that can end up being the core elements of the score once you even get the footage, because then they start using it in the editing, in their editing room.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're cutting to it.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
okay.
It kind of becomes part of the film sometimes before it's even shot.
Huh.
Which actually was the case on the last feature that I just did that was shot here in St. John.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the one that premiered at the Atlantic Film Festival?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So suddenly so you're influencing each other really, right? Sometimes the footage influences the composer, and the composer flip it around. The composer can be influencing the footage. Okay. Yeah. That's really cool. So when you're doing the spotting session too, are you trying to for the scenes, are you trying to tap out a tempo? Or are you trying to figure out pacing? Is that also part of it?
Yeah. Sometimes the director can have a more clear, sort of vision on what they feel the pace is. And usually at the time that they're coming to you with the cut, say if you are really spotting to a cut, it's usually locked. Mm-hmm. I say that kind of loosely. Most of the time it's pretty close. You're usually not going to see too crazy edits by the time you're there and they're spotting it with you.
Okay.
So oftentimes they could have a sense of, this is got to be quicker. This is got to be kind of faster pace. And oftentimes they will have temp music in there So you get a sense of what they're going for.
Okay, they'll have like a background music. Okay, yeah.
They use temp music a lot of times. A lot of people edit with temp music because it really does make the editing process a bit quicker and easier, just to get a sense of your pace. It's it's kind of it's like a known thing for composers. They hate temp music because the directors always just are like, oh, but I love the temp, and it's just not like the temp, and and then you get this sort of
demoitis. Yeah, so it's like writing demo, like rough mixes and stuff. For music.
And then you kind of have to, you have to kind of find a middle ground there. Sometimes they'll be really open to you just being like, you know what, I think this is the way to go, like something a little, sort of a 180.
Okay,
but most of the time you're more like a 270.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that makes sense though, because especially if you're working with that music, you're all of a sudden, and it's attached to the editing you've been doing. That's a tough place to be.
Yeah,
like I would imagine that could be tricky.
It can be, but that's one of the things I like, especially with films, doing it beforehand. You start to immediately begin that collaborating process. And then when they already like the demo, when they're liking the sounds and they're envisioning that and they're thinking, yeah, like this is kind of where I'm imagining this, then early on they start working with it, and then it just makes everything way more smooth. You just stuff starts to unfold. Then you're really just piecing things together to fit a scene. And that's where the real sort of doctoring of the music, maybe making cuts or edits comes into play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine there must be like cues you're trying to hit where like the music's building tension, but it has to release at like this exact moment in the scene. And then you have 42 seconds later to kind of like chill out the tune before the scene changes or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And much easier to do that these days than back in the day.
It's much easier.
Yeah.
Because of like time expansion compression tricks and stuff, or
just like all that stuff. Just editing stuff is can be there's lots of challenges that come into play still, but you do have a lot of you have a lot of freedom with what you can get away with, and as opposed to obviously recording everything analog or doing things back like how they used to. That had to be very, very precise. That's why it's just a different skill set. You have to you have to kind of train your brain to think slightly differently for, kind of the modern setup that we have now.
Yeah. Actually, as you say that, it'd be kind of fun to imagine, like, I guess, like back in the day, they'd have to record the music live while watching the finished edit of the movie. Is that what would have been happening?
Definitely, yeah.
And then they're like the conductor or someone is like controlling the pace.
If you watch like behind the scenes of, anything that John Williams has recorded, they're in the studio and they've got the film big, like in behind the orchestra, and they're seeing it, and then they're playing it, and they're timing everything to it, and even back then they had cutting editing tricks big time. Like they knew what they were doing. There was lots of little tricks and all that, but yeah, just a different, they still do that now too, so that's great. It's not like that went anywhere. It's just we have there's the independent scene is just, there's a little more freedom for what you can do and what you can get away with when you're just like, one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Well, maybe we can go back in time a little bit just to kind of give like the listeners a kind of like a idea of where you come from.
Yeah.
Because like I wanted to ask, like, what was it about the Terminator soundtracks that I thought I read that the Terminator soundtracks kind of like perked up your ears way back in the day?
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was really that like brought that in, made that so important?
I think that was just from being a kid and just loving Terminator.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
I feel like, one of the first big movies that I think my dad showed me would be Terminator 2.
Okay.
And I was pretty young. I wasn't like super young, but I shouldn't have been watching it. But even when I did first watch it, he'd have to he'd be like, oh, don't watch this, or like cover my eyes. Like, couldn't see certain stuff. But I think just that early connection to Terminator 2 and just loving the music, in relationship with the character and everything, and just the ending is like the saddest thing ever for any kid, it's the thumbs up, like, that's just
the intense music. That music is intense.
Yeah. It's great. But then, as I've gotten more into just 80s films in general and 80s music in general too. Just the 80s was just so awesome. There's so much good music, and the sounds are just, they're wicked. So, I think as I've gotten older, I just, got more into that. And then, you go back and you watch those movies again and you're like, damn, man, this is this music's wicked. And some of these sounds, they're even, they sound super lo-fi or, old school, but they're still, they're great. They have lots of character. But I think, Terminator was I was just a huge movie when I was a kid. It's a good one of the main ones.
Yeah. Terminator 1 has a really interesting, soundtrack from what I remember anyway. Like, is there a moment like where you can remember like picking out music from movies? Like where it didn't really, because as a kid you're just watching, you're not really analyzing it.
Yeah, I think I always did. I didn't necessarily realize how much of an impact it had until I started getting more into playing music. Okay. And that was when I was quite a bit older. Like I was in my senior year of high school, really.
When you started playing something?
Started playing guitar.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. And like one of my buddies in school played guitar and was actually like a good guitar player. And they were playing, like a 12-bar blues riff. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It sounds so sick. And then I started playing guitar, but I started getting into just creating more moods and atmospheres, not as much focused on songs.
Okay.
And then, movies were always huge in my family. Like my parents were big into movies. Me and my brother basically just grew up, watched like movies that was everything. Like that was our days. Like if we weren't outside, if we weren't skating or something, movies, go to the video store, rent a movie, weekends, doing things with our parents, it was renting movies.
Yep.
And that was just such a big part of our life. So I'm just like thinking about, just taking me back, memories. Just like thinking about childhood and everything.
Yeah, always not too much of a nostalgia bomb, but it's interesting to find out where people come from, because you never you have no idea where, like, you getting into music late. Well, even late, senior in high school. Anyone can start learning whenever they want, but that is kind of like a rarity. What's the right word? That's usually not how it goes.
Yeah. I think a lot of people come up in classical music settings or just taking lessons and stuff like that. But I didn't, and I did have a cool high school music teacher that kind of got me just sort of at the intros of music theory. And then when I started going to university in Fredericton at St. Thomas, I was really just like, from the ground, starting there. And fortunately, the fine arts director there, he was just a very big influence and really mentored me in pretty much everything, just learning theory from scratch. And it was that was not as hard as when because I was so determined on it. It just kind of just sort of all went together, which was nice. Really timing wise, I really lucked out with that.
Okay. Yeah, so you get into music at grade 12, and then you decide to go to university for music?
Yeah.
Did you take a year off or anything, or did you go right in?
I worked at a gas station for like 6 months.
You're like, I gotta do something else.
Yeah, I was pumping gas
Good lesson.
In the winter. And and it was I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't the worst job ever though, by any means, but it wasn't the greatest job. So I had planned on taking a year off, and then I just said, you know what? No. And I had thought about going and taking other stuff too. I even was considering going and taking sciences and stuff. I think I even might have got into UNB as well, because I applied to both. Okay. And then I decided to go to STU, which wasn't even a music program. You didn't have to audition or anything. Oh, because that was the thing. I had no background. It's not an actual music program. Oh, okay. It's part of their fine arts program. Oh, okay. So I had no background. So I couldn't audition. I wouldn't have made it into a music program at all. Yeah. I wouldn't even have came close. Okay. So this was where I could go and do exactly that, was start from the ground and just, work my way up. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's cool. So the fine arts program, which I know you're now
an instructor for, right?
Yeah. Starting in January, I'm going to be doing music and film and TV.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about a full circle moment, right?
Yeah.
That's like 10 years in the making, roughly? Is that right?
Well, it's been, since, I graduated 2016. So, we're getting there.
That's cool. So, fine arts program that just happened to have music or courses on music.
Yeah. And pretty pretty challenging theory stuff too.
Okay.
The fine arts director there, Martin Kutnowski.
Yeah.
He's world renowned. I mean, he's traveled all over the world. He's played all over the world, and he's a composer himself. And he's fantastic. And then he also is very well known for his teaching experience. And some of the classes, were pretty in depth.
Okay.
For not being a music program specifically, but it would cover a wide range. We'd be analyzing music, but then also talking about things that would kind of fit in musicology. So we'd be talking about, more sociological things or, philosophical aspects of music, and, studying specific composers like Beethoven or Brahms, and just kind of doing a full sweep of learning about them, not just theory, but there was some in-depth theory stuff too. So it was great.
Okay. That's really cool. Yeah. So studying the old classical music that just seems to like last through the decades. It's like,
it does.
Would you you would dive deep into these composers, or like what would you guys try to figure out why that music still holds on today? Is there?
Yeah, I think that's always kind of an underlying part of whenever you're studying those composers, and when you're studying their theory, or when you're doing theory practice and analysis on their music, you're always trying to really, understand more of why they made the choices that they did. Mm-hmm. But you also see that it was common practice amongst all composers of the time. There were certain trends even with composing, and which you still see today. They're just different things. But you start to see that, they were doing this, and so were these, this guy was doing this too, or she was doing this here. And then you start to see how they maybe handled them slightly different. And that's how, that's where their style, that's where everybody's individuality comes from.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's easy to imagine that there's only these 3 to 8 people composing, but really when they were alive in the moment, there's probably dozens of contemporaries that they were competing against. And
yeah, for sure.
And the superstars are the ones we remember.
Yeah. And they were, rightfully so. They were phenomenal. And when you study their music, you understand why. And sometimes when you go to, slightly more unknown composers, it's not always the case. Sometimes you do go and find them, you're like, damn, that was, this was maybe a bit ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So there's definitely those cases. Okay. But then there's others where it's just it's not quite as, you may as well just go listen to Beethoven because he did it, better. Or
Can't get any better than that. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm no expert on any of this, but I feel like I thought I rather heard that Bach was at the time he put out a ton of music, but it was 100 years after he died that they kind of realized how incredible his pieces were.
I think that's kind of the consensus.
Okay.
I'm not as great of a classical music historian. I mean, I know some, obviously I had to study some of that stuff, but I think that's kind of the idea. And he did write a lot of music, but he wrote so much music for the church. That's where so much of his music was written for.
Okay.
So, he was steadily employed by the church and would have written so much music for that. That's part of why he has such a massive catalog.
But not necessarily doing large public performances.
Yeah, I don't think that was as much of a thing for him earlier or when he was writing. Mm-hmm. But music was so big for the church at the time, so that would be where people got a lot of their musical performances. That was it was just so much. That was and almost like forms of entertainment at that time.
Yeah,
you didn't have a lot of other things, and that was definitely a major component for that.
Yeah.
So
going out, and it's interesting too to think about how in those moments, really, I don't know if there's any sort of recorded music available of any kind back then. I don't know when wax cylinders came around, but to take in music, you had to go Like,
Yeah, you had to go and be there.
Be there.
Yeah.
And you couldn't like get a demo copy of the performance.
Yeah, of the new Bach, or
bootleg.
or the newest Mozart.
Yeah, here's my bootleg on wax cylinder.
Yeah. No, and I think that's coming back around. I think people are way more down with really going and taking in a live performance.
Yeah.
I think that's like...
Yeah. Feeling the air, like the air moving.
Yeah. Because it's a different experience. It's not as much fun as just pulling out your phone and just being like, all right, I've got it right here. And just bang, I'm listening to it. You go and you hear it, and you hear it different than the recording too. You get a nice, almost like a unique experience that only the people who are there get to have, because it's always going to be different every time you do something live. It's it's really cool. I'm thinking that's going to be much more popular as we get into the AI world more and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I of course wanted to bring. I'm sure it's the AI's everywhere, but I did want to ask you about how that's going to affect composing. Because obviously it's affecting all kinds of art. Yeah. All the art right now.
Yeah, it's huge.
But do you view it as like, is it going to be a tool that can be used to augment a person's ability? Or is it going to be too easy to go the other path and end up being used completely just to replace things?
I think it's going to be both. And I think it already is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's such a huge topic right now, as it is, with everything. But it's currently being used, and we do use it as tools, and it can be very helpful, especially depending on the resources that you have and the situation you're in. But when you get into talking about like the generative AI stuff,
I guess that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Generative.
Yeah.
Because I even use like AI plugins to remove background noise, or if like accidentally the mic signal's too hot and it's clipping. Like in the past, you're just...
Yeah, it's just
you
toast.
messed up the recording.
Yeah, it's
but now there are some AI plugins that can slice things so many times.
Yeah. And I think like stuff like that is fine, because that is like a tool, and that's not really like, that stuff's not going anywhere, and there's no real need to have some hard policies put in place to really protect people creating things. But yeah, it's just the generative stuff it's just scary, because we're even in the screen music world, they're even talking, there's debates and current discussion on AI's place in just copyright law and all that stuff, like how much AI you use on tracks, or like if AI tracks can even be registered, say with like SOCAN. The whole new like SOCAN policies just came out on AI. And,
they did?
And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look those up.
And it's some people are not very happy about it. I think they're doing good. I think their intentions are really good. I think they are very focused on protecting creators and composers and musicians and everything.
Yep.
But they're also, they have to try and play the game, because big companies, big studios, things like that, they want the ability to use the AI, because they don't have to spend as much money.
Yeah.
And if they don't have to spend as much money, they're going to make more money.
Well, the labels could have AI agents writing their tunes, and there's no contract negotiations about publishing rights or residuals.
Yeah. So it's like, it's really tricky though, because you basically have to register works. I think there's like a percentage of like how much, or you have to prove like how the AI was used.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of leeway in there in how it's all like, I don't want to make mistakes in quoting exactly how it is, because some of it's really complicated.
For sure.
All that stuff is so complicated to try and, make sense of. Sometimes you got to like read it like a million times.
Well, that's why there's entertainment lawyers.
Exactly. I know. Yeah. And, they're very important too.
They are.
The entertainment lawyers and your agents and stuff like that. Those are so very important jobs. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to be, I want to be optimistic. So I think a lot of people have made a lot of complaints, and they're making sure that people know. And, you know, I think that's the key, is just making sure that people are like, no, we don't like this. And it's also strange because if you get rid of those jobs, then, you know, the economy itself, you're just taking away from the circulating, you know.
The money's not circulating.
The money's not circulating. Literally. You know, it's just, if you've got AI doing it, unless you're just handing out money to people and stuff like that, it's just, it's strange. But I'm not, it's definitely not my expertise. I like to advocate for people making stuff. So that's pretty much my focus.
And there's also knowledge loss too, because if the people that used to do those jobs are no longer, if they're cast aside and years go by and it's just been AI, well, there's been no humans passing along the little subtle knowledge, the little pieces of information they know. And if something were to happen in the future, and like all the AI computer databases, data centers go down.
Exactly.
You'll have like a generational gap.
Yeah. And we're seeing that with, I mean, you see that with the advancement of technology anyway. You know, how many people do you know, or can you go to now that know how to fix like a VHS player or some, you know, an old piece of equipment that just doesn't get used, and nobody's learning how to keep that stuff in, you know, or repair it or anything like that. So that all that's just gonna, you know, that's gonna continue to happen. But yeah, AI, I feel like AI would do that at like it'd be like an astronomical rate. You know, we'd just all of a sudden be like, all right, we don't have to know anything. We don't have to drive, you know, self-driving cars, all that stuff. We don't have to know how to do anything. What are we going to do? Like, what's even going to be our purpose?
Yeah. We don't even have to leave our house because our food's delivered.
Exactly. I know.
We all work remotely. We don't even work. The AI works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's fun to think about, but it's kind of like, you can go either direction, dystopian or utopian.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be bad, but that's just my opinion.
Yep. That's fine.
That's the creator's opinion.
So maybe we'll go just to jump. I like jumping all over the place. Hope that's not a problem.
Oh yeah, I love jumping.
Okay. You grew up skating, right? Skateboarding?
Yeah.
So does that mean you were like a punk rocker at heart? Usually those two go together, but maybe.
You know what? I honestly, admittedly didn't get super into any specific punk rock band. I obviously knew like the Ramones and some of those, some of the British punk, you know, but I definitely got most of my knowledge of that from like playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater and stuff like that. Because the soundtracks were always pretty wicked.
Oh yeah.
But I never got crazy into like punk rock itself and just the scene or anything, you know. I was into music and stuff, but I went through like weird, you know, I went through like Guns N' Roses phases and stuff, which maybe is not weird, but like Guns N' Roses and then Johnny Cash and, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Punk rock wasn't like the thing. I feel like that happened more recently, or like in the last like decade with skaters.
Okay. Cool.
Like it came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I just wanted to...
It was definitely a thing in skateboarding. For sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really get super into that.
Okay.
I don't not like punk though.
You're pro punk?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I'm a fan.
I find a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but a good number of my interviews, I like, after talking with someone for a while, all of a sudden it turns out that they're like a secret punk. And like, like back in the day, they came from punk, and I was just like, anyway. So I always try to like dig that up because it seems to exist in a lot of
I'm like,
for whatever reasons.
I'm like a country western like lover.
Okay.
Like I love like, if it'd be like, there'd be like a weird, maybe not like weird, but a strange genre for me to be into. It's like, country western.
Country
big
western.
time.
Okay.
Yeah. And specifically, I love this dude, Coulter Wall.
Okay, not familiar.
He's from Saskatchewan.
Oh, no, I love Saskatchewan.
Oh, dude, he's in my opinion, he's a living legend.
Okay.
It's incredible. I mean, he embodies that genre like in every aspect of his life. I mean, he's a rancher, like he really does do all that kind of work.
Okay.
You know, and then his voice is insane. I mean, I feel like you may have heard, because some of his songs were in movies. That's what got him like super popular.
Okay.
I feel like you might know his voice. It's crazy.
What's the name
voice.
again?
Coulter Wall.
Coulter Wall. Okay, I'll check that out for sure. So does that explain the country western vibe? Is that kind of what led you to do that? The record Duel? Is that kind of related there?
Yeah, I think just loving westerns in general too, like spaghetti westerns and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that just led me to there, and then also just New Brunswick history too, like that. Doing that project was really cool for just kind of learning more about the local history and seeing that there was some really cool stories that I thought personally was like, man, this should be a movie or something. Mm-hmm. So it was an opportunity to be like, hey, why not write a bunch of music and basically make a soundtrack for this, this story, like this, piece of New Brunswick history. Mm-hmm. And then that's where I then did Partridge Island, which I went to and checked out here, and then did that album. That's all like Celtic inspired and everything.
Yeah, that's a cool record too.
Because of the history. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask if you envisioned when you did these records, because there's no movie associated with the records.
No,
right?
no.
So, but did you just have a movie playing in your mind, so to speak?
Yeah, I kind of pieced together a narrative in my head, something that I imagined. This could look kind of like this, and I obviously drew a lot of inspiration from other movies I had seen, and and then just kind of put it together how I thought it would unfold as a film. Okay. And with some liberties in there. Sometimes I just was like, oh, I'm just going to write this piece of music and see how it unfolds. Mm-hmm. But it was very much following sort of a, taking the history, learning that, and then creating some kind of narrative that gave the music sort of an internal through line where it felt like it was going along a path, that sort of thing. But whether or not it worked, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're enjoyable listens. Would you ever take that composition and try to get someone to make a movie to it? Now that it's all laid out?
I mean, that would be cool. I think some of the tracks I would definitely be like, yeah, that'd be cool. Use that. And then I think some I'd be like, oh, let me do something new. Okay. That's inspired by that, just because I'm always, I'm getting better and better as I, keep doing stuff. Mm-hmm. Those are also just such early projects for me too, in learning how to record and just, learning the audio engineering side of making your own music and producing your own music, which is just a whole other world of, stuff that you can go to school for. And you spend so much time just getting into that, just mixing and everything, which is just, can be such a headache. Yep. I like just writing the music, but I like doing the other stuff too, but it's hard. Yeah. It's
time consuming and overanalyzing and worrying.
Oh my God. Big time. Yeah. I'll listen to you can ask my partner or my brother. They go through it. They hear the same piece of music, for a week, just over and over and over. And I'm just fixating on one spot, just being trying to figure out, the bass in a certain spot and what's going on or why it sounds like crap or something, and they hate it just like me by the end of it. Yeah.
Shut it off.
Yeah. We all hate it. Yeah. It's such a weird thing to be in when you're making stuff like that. And you get to that stage where you do hate it. Yeah. And if you have people around you that obviously they like what you do, and they want to see you do well, but you all hate it.
You all hate the process.
You're just like, man, this is ridiculous. And then it cools off and you go back to it and you're like, oh, okay, well, this was pretty good.
Once you're disconnected or there's time in between. When I was working on my last record a couple years ago, my wife, same thing, is it's oh, well, in the final chorus, I boosted the vocals by 1 dB. But I got to listen to the whole song and wait for it to happen to make sure it's the right decision.
Because you got to get that full experience, because that could be different, maybe when you're going from the start to there, it might not be the right choice, you know?
The feeling, it has to, that's funny. Yeah. It is a feeling across the whole piece.
It's true.
That's interesting.
And it gets old.
It gets old, yeah. So you mentioned SoCan. I'm just kind of curious, in the world of composing, in music, you just kind of throw your tunes up there if you did it all yourself, you own all the publishing or whatever. But
Yep.
in composing world, is there, if you want to talk about the business side of things, is there anything that's kind of like different about that? Do you have to like work out deals with whoever's doing the footage or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You basically have to just work out a deal on the back end that is mostly to do with the publishing. Usually you retain your writer's share.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. I don't think anybody really can take the writer's share. That it's like
the intellectual property side of things.
Yeah, if that's what it is or not. I just know that like, the writer's share is kind of like this. I don't know. It's like this sacred part that it's like I don't know if they legally can or maybe they can, but it's definitely like if they do take your writer's share, then that's weird.
Okay.
Or like that's not cool. You know, taking the publishing is super common.
Okay.
For you to not get your publishing at all, it's very common. But if you say work on a project where maybe they come in under budget, they're like, oh, we don't have enough to, pay what we should be paying. But to make up for that, we'll negotiate the publishing or something.
Okay.
And then you can get a cut on that too. So then your back end deal would be much better. You'll end up seeing a lot more money for royalties. But oftentimes they will pre-sell those too. And sometimes they just own like the movie. Technically, when you think about it, the music wouldn't exist if the movie wasn't being made. Mm-hmm. So it is really kind of like, it's like a property of the movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the writer's share though, that covers a different thing and you're still, that's still yours and you keep that. But yeah, the publishing, it is kind of a thing that you work out with the producers and, whoever's making the movie.
Okay.
I'm sure once you get up into like big projects, it probably gets even, there's probably more complicated stuff too with how your deals work. But in terms of SOCAN, like that type of thing, it's pretty much just, writer's share, publishing share. And it can just be, dependent on who you're working with and what they have for money and how they want to do their deal with whoever they're distributing. Yep. Because the distributor might want the money from the back end on the publishing and stuff. Okay. Which, people at SOCAN or people at the Screen Composers Guild, they advocate for the composer keeping or at least getting a share of the publishing, But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my experience with it anyway, so far. I'm sure things get, even more complicated and everything, but yeah, it's definitely important though for screen composers. It's like crucial for, you being able to sustain that as a career. Yeah. Yeah, the back end is important.
If you've composed music for a show that ends up getting syndicated for years and years and years and years and years, I'd imagine you'd want a residual or royalty from the public. I would imagine it's considered a public performance every time it airs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's crucial. And it can be really good as, for your career if you do land something that does go on network TV. Mm-hmm. Streamers are totally different. Like you don't get the same type of royalty or the same type of back end with streamers. Yeah. Network TV is where you want to.
Network TV.
Yeah. If you're looking, when you're starting out or when you're, want to sustain yourself as a composer, it's one of the best ways is to land, some sort of network TV deal. And then obviously bigger gigs, you get paid more money. So you're not as concerned with, the back end. Yep. But yeah, I'm sure on games, then it's like a totally different thing because video games are massive and they're massive for composers now. Like it's such a big part of the industry now too. So
yeah, I was curious what you thought about if you were involved in game composition or like if that's a whole separate world.
I haven't been yet, but I would love to though, because it's awesome. There's lots of people making music for games, and the music for games now is just awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, it always was. There's classic games had cool music too, but now big AAA like titles and stuff like that have serious serious music, you know, big orchestral, you know, stuff like, and some of the big name composers working right now that are doing them. So it's definitely a spot I'd like to be in. That's for sure.
Yeah. I completely agree. Just think of something like Zelda, or like the music's just incredible, really, and totally changes the feeling of the game or the product, you know, the end product.
Oh yeah, big time. And people go to concerts for that. Like the you know, live performance of that is just massive. Like they sell out and everything. Just people love it. There's
a local I don't know what the right word is, but group in Moncton, Pixel.wave.
Okay.
And they just put on a tour of mostly Final Fantasy music.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that'd be massive.
It sold out, I'm pretty sure, most of their shows.
Oh yeah, of course.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that fan base would be very, very diehard.
Yeah, there's some solid music in that world.
Yeah,
in that game series. Maybe we could talk about just like local music a little bit, because you've done some collabs with Palmer.
Yeah.
And are you working on another one with them?
So they're in the Elm City String Quartet.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm doing, I'm writing a new string quartet specifically for them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
So that's kind of a step away from the film and TV stuff, and focusing on concert music, which is great. I love, you know, from studying music in university, I came to really like, you know, love and appreciate concert music too. And, you know, it's an art form in itself, really.
Yep.
Music for live performance. It is its own thing. So it's super nice to be able to, you know, exercise those skills as well, and work with them too, because they're fantastic. And, you know, like Mark and Emily from Palmer, they've done just a bunch of cool stuff. Like their last Palmer album and stuff was super sick, and I like the, you know, the introduction of the electronic stuff that they've been doing too. It's like really cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that. That'll be next in the spring. It'll be in the spring of 2026. Yeah.
And that'll be like a full, I don't even know what the right word is, but it's like a full quartet performance piece.
Yeah. It's probably going to be about, I'm going to say like 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes. Okay.
In length.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And they'll have that as part of their tour.
Yeah.
Part of their season.
Yeah. Part of their New Brunswick tour in the spring. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So it'll be like I think they do like 5 shows or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that tackling that challenge? How does that change? How's that different from gearing up to write, or compose for film? Is there much difference?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think,
like, I guess obviously this piece, it's going to be the focal point is the music.
Yeah.
There's no film to like.
That's the thing.
Keep the eyeballs glued.
That's definitely a big part of what the main difference is.
Okay.
Is, you know, film music is its own thing, and it can, you know, obviously it can stand on its own. I do firmly believe that it can, you know, it can have a place even in the concert setting as well. But there are times where you do have, you know, the picture to be kind of working with as well. The music isn't supposed to be the absolute focal point. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to be working to elevate the picture. Whereas this, you know, really focusing on the music being the key components and the different instruments as, you know, their own characters and you know, really trying to make a piece that unfolds and is an experience to just listen to. Mm-hmm. And it's just a different challenge. And I'm doing workshops with them, which is great. So we're like doing rehearsals and then I'm just getting their feedback, and, you know, we're experimenting a little bit and trying things, and it's great. 'Cause then I'll learn, you know, I'm always learning about what can be done on the instruments, and then just learning even about more traditional technique. You know, I'm not a string player, so I need to, you know, understand the physicality and the, you know, the technical requirements of string instruments.
Okay.
What they can, what they can't do, and, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, okay. Because I guess if you're composing in MIDI or whatever with a keyboard, you might accidentally be writing something that like a cello could never do this.
Well, yeah, there's lots of music that gets done digitally now that to recreate it live, you'd have to do quite a few different, it's not as simple as just being like, all right, let's orchestrate this for the orchestra. It's not going to work. They can't do that. And that's not possible. You'd need some electronics involved, or you'd need a way bigger orchestra in order to achieve whatever you've done in the, like in your DAW or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's those elements of it too. How can you get what you want, but working within the means of, real people and yeah, just the limitations of physical instrument.
So would part of being a composer in this fashion and for film is like, you kind of need to be familiar with a bunch of different musical instruments, whether you actually ever will learn to play them or not.
Definitely,
you just need to know where they
definitely
sit.
Yeah, and I think it's probably something that a lot of composers overlook too. I know I'm certainly guilty of it, is just not just learning about instruments themselves and just understanding what they're capable of doing, because some instruments are capable of doing things you wouldn't even think of if you incorporate some sort of different like with a lot of percussion instruments, you use a different type of mallet and you play it in a different way. Maybe you're not just doing the traditional, you're hitting the I'm thinking like vibes or like marimba or something like that, but you can actually like take a bow and you can bow them, and you can get some of those eerie tones and things that they do put on, synthesizers and stuff like that to create those classic, horror effects or tropes.
Okay. That's really interesting. Yeah. That kind of makes me go all the way back to centuries ago. Like that was obviously a strength of those composers, because they're just composing in a room, I imagine. But they have to be there. They know is it called a stanza when you're writing?
Oh, on a staff?
Yeah.
Like on the
staff paper. Yeah.
Yeah. On the staff. Yeah. Staff paper. Yeah.
So they'd have to know like the limitations. I don't know what the right word is, but the span of notes they can cover.
Yeah, like the range and the registers of the instrument. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that just comes from experience, probably. Like, how do you tackle that if you're mainly writing by yourself with no other instruments around you?
I think that would come from getting the instruments, playing them yourself, learning what can be done, and then also the great things about collaborating with people who do play some of these instruments that you don't play. Just doing more of that, doing as much of that as you can, and just asking, being like, okay, how do you do this, or how can we make this kind of sound, and you just figure things out that way. It's really like collaborating is the key for that.
Okay.
And music programs can offer more of that, but sometimes they don't even have the resources to let the composition students really experiment with the students who are in the orchestra and whatnot. Like, it's not always the case that when you go to a music program, you're going to get to just like, sit in the orchestra rehearsals and ask them questions and be right in their ear, be like, oh, how'd you do that? Or how'd you do that? Like, because everybody's busy, everybody's doing their own, they got to study their own rep and learn all their pieces, so they don't have time. But as much opportunity that you can collaborate with other people that play things that you don't play, you really want to take that, because that's where you'll really get the experience. It'll make you a better composer for sure.
Cool, very cool. Well, maybe we can circle back to the award, the Canadian Screen Music Award. Has that opened any new doors for you, or has that? I want to use the word leverage, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But are you able to leverage that into like career development? Yeah,
leverage is fine. There's nothing wrong with using that word. I think everybody
leverages their opportunities.
Everybody uses leverage. We all use it.
Is there like kind of a difference now that you're award-winning composer? Does that like change?
I think, whenever you're trying to get a job, or you're ever trying to, sell somebody on yourself, then it's always good to have any sort of accolades. But I think I did end up just getting signed with an agency after that as well.
Okay.
I've been trying to get signed with them for a long time.
Okay, cool. Like a booking agency, or?
They handle specifically music for film and TV.
Okay, yep.
And they have a roster of composers, and they're like, probably like one of the biggest in Canada.
Oh,
they
cool.
handle a lot of Canadian, like the most prominent Canadian screen composers.
Nice.
And there's a couple other agencies that handle, I don't want to say like the best ones or anything. There's others that are with other agencies that are great, like other Canadian composers. But they just have a good roster. They've been doing it for a long time. It's called Core Music Agency.
Okay.
They're in BC. They represent like Mark Corbin. Do you know Mark Corbin?
No, it sounds familiar, but
Seen The Lighthouse?
I know of the movie, but no, I haven't seen it.
He did the music for that movie, and then he's done a bunch of stuff now. He did like what was that one with Ethan Hawke? That last one, The Black Phone.
I really don't watch too many movies, to be honest.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I used to. More of a TV guy now.
Oh god, this is blasphemy. No, I'm just kidding. TV's good.
I'm not supporting your industry. I never will.
No, TV's good too. I mean, TV. There's a lot of wicked TV out now, so it's understandable.
Yeah, and being based in BC, that's like basically the Hollywood of Canada. So that's a good place for your agency.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them. That and like Toronto and then Montreal. They're like the three hot spots for film and stuff.
Yeah,
but he's done TV stuff too. I mean, he's done a bunch of wicked movies, and his music is awesome. But then he does this show Billy the Kid that's on MGM Plus, and he co-scores that with Michelle Osis, who I met in New York. I actually met her in New York when I was there in 2016.
Oh, cool.
And she's fantastic. She's also represented by Core. So I knew of some people that were there, and like I was, friends with her and really liked her music too. Mm-hmm. So I've just been like trying to, I've just been pushing to get there. And then, the award and everything just kind of, I think, helped out. They also worked with me on the last feature I did too. They did like a one-off, job with me, or a one-off deal type thing.
Okay.
And it went super well. And then, then the award just, I think that just kind of like, probably helped a bit. But I'd been pushing for that for a long time. Okay. It's been a journey trying to get there.
Well, that's kind of the artistic world, is like, that's part of it, is the artist who, never gives up, so to speak, like instead of just trying quick flash in the pan and then disappear versus someone who's grinding it out, for a decade or two. I
mean, yeah, I'm trying. It's still grinding.
Still grinding.
It's
probably
still
always a grind. Probably always a grind.
Yeah, I'd say it. I mean, I don't necessarily not want it to be a grind either. That's part of what makes it fun too. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's been it's been a while. It's been since I'd say like 2018. Cool. I was probably just too like gung ho at that time. I was just like, hey, like I'm just getting going, but I love doing this, and just trust me. Like I'll do anything. I'll get better, and like I'll just keep getting better. And they were probably like, yeah.
We've heard this before.
Yeah.
That's that's okay. So how does the gig at St. Thomas? How does that? What's the right way to ask this? Does it like relieve pressure, or does it just like steady gig in the world that's connected to the art? Like that's how I feel about my other job at Music MB. Like it's not necessarily a creative job, but it's a steady gig in the industry that's like I'm lucky to be working in.
Yeah.
So St. Thomas is kind of a rambly question. So is it kind of that way? And also like you're going to be around students, so you'll have this churn of like younger folks probably influencing you. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, definitely. That I think it's all those things. I think it's just when you're working in the arts, it's always nice to have something to kind of give a little more stability, of course. Mm-hmm. And like, that's just the nature of working in the arts. So definitely that is nice. But if you can also do that and stay in the field that you want to be in, mm-hmm. that's even better, because then your spare time, or that extra time you're dedicating to that, it's still in your craft mm-hmm. in some way, and you're still able to keep your skills sort of sharp, and even keep sharpen them, like keep getting better, because teaching makes you think about things different than how you would maybe normally. Mm-hmm.
Especially if someone asks a question that they don't really have the answer for, you're forced to go look it up.
Exactly, and I'm sure that's going to happen. So if anybody's if anybody is expecting me to just have all the answers. That's not going to happen.
You'll have ChatGPT there beside you, though.
Yeah, I mean,
The best teachers I ever had in college and stuff were the ones who would say, I don't know, but I'll let you know tomorrow or whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. I would definitely be like, I will find out. Yeah, if I don't know the answer, I will find out.
Yeah.
Or we'll find it out right there in class because there's just computers and stuff. So we'll be like, well, I don't know. Let's actually let's look into that.
Let's learn together.
But yeah, no, it's I'm excited. I'm excited for that because it's not as common in universities either to have a lot of dedicated focus on music and film and TV.
Okay.
Bigger schools for sure, like in Toronto and things like that, like the bigger cities and schools typically with more resources, they can, they have classes that dedicate to that as well. But it's in music programs, it's often very much overlooked. I don't want to say it's, I don't want to talk badly about anything, but it's just not as appreciated, I would say, in the classical music world. Just film music is kind of seen as not really real music to them because it is very much it can be very much an artificial thing. Things are tweaked and tailored to fit within the film, and maybe you want this sound to really soar here, but in a real setting, it just wouldn't be possible. Getting back to the physical parameters of working with real instruments, you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that without some sort of electronic assistance or something.
Okay.
So they get really hung up on that. They don't realize that it's just a different art form, and you need to think differently about how you compose. And if you do it live, you tweak it, you reorchestrate, and we see that all the time. There's lots of ensembles that play film music live, and it's reorchestrated. It's just slightly changed to fit the concert setting. But like John Williams, stuff like that, I mean, they play that all the time, and it's it's not exactly as it was in the film. It's slightly different because he knows.
Yeah,
he doesn't not know how to. That it's he's not writing the film music being like, yeah, this will just work in any setting. He knows that some stuff would have to be adjusted to be in the live setting, it's, so I'm excited for that, just to be able to, come at it with a lot of appreciation, just be really into it because I love it so much that I'm going to be this stuff is great, and it's great to understand and learn about it and know why it's so powerful for people when they watch movies or shows. TV, huge. I mean, TV scores are massive now.
Yeah, cool. Even one of my favorite series is Cosmos, Carl Sagan's science.
Yeah.
And is it Vangelis?
Oh yeah,
I think he did Blade Runner stuff too.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I mean, the music in that series is really what perked my ears up when I first hit play on that. I was like, "What is this? This is of course decades ago, but yeah. So
the Blade Runner scores.
Blade Runner is a wicked score.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's iconic.
Yeah. And my buddy just turned me on to the Reanimator. The Reanimator score.
Reanimator, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I haven't even seen that.
It's probably worth watching. Yeah, I've only seen it once, but it's like a classic horror movie. If my buddy Sean's listening, he's like, what the hell's wrong with these people?
Yeah, because I haven't seen it. Yeah, well, I definitely know about it.
Yeah. It's worth watching. Check out the music, actually. It's pretty cool. It's kind of it's got a good I feel like it's got a sense, the music's got a sense of humor in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got that 80s thing going on.
I think they talk about it in this, there's one of these horror movie documentaries that's really good. And I don't know if it's on Shudder or not, but I know they've done a few of those. Those are really fun too. But I've definitely seen it come up in all the great, horror films and stuff like that. I just haven't watched it yet. Yeah,
it's been a while since I've watched it, but it's worth the watch. Is there anything anything you want to plug or anything we should up and coming that we should touch on before we wrap her up?
Honestly, I didn't get to. I haven't gotten around to getting that last score ready for release. So I honestly I've been a little kind of sour on putting stuff out on Spotify and stuff like that, just because of all the AI talk and stuff like that, and they're pushing AI artists and
big time,
and I'm just do I and using are they training people's AI with people's music and stuff.
Are they? I mean, they definitely are. Whether they have admitted it or not.
Yeah, I think they. Oh yeah, I think they are. I think it's like known now. But and I'm not as worried about that because it's just like whatever. I mean, they're using everybody's and they're using like the best people in the world's music because like you know they've got everybody's music on Spotify, so they're training people on Radiohead and everything. Like you know, so. It's not really a big deal if they're gonna, you know, take my music and start training AI. But yeah, it was just more of the. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of I was like, what's the deal? I've been wanting to get away from the streaming stuff anyway. So, but
most of your stuff's on Bandcamp, right?
Yeah, it's all on there. And then I do have stuff on Spotify and Apple Music. It's everywhere right now. I think I'm going to keep it that way. I was just getting I was just getting sour on it because I was reading the AI stuff. So I just started being like, oh man, screw these guys. But now I'm just like, it's good to have things out there.
It's good for the access. And we're big here at Local FM, like pushing Bandcamp whenever a band has a Bandcamp.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like I feel like, and of course you have a .com too, right? ZacharyGreer.com.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you want to buy the music digitally or support it digitally, like Bandcamp is like, for now, the go-to, because at least you can download the MP3s or the waves.
Exactly, yeah.
So if ever Bandcamp, for whatever reason, as a company disappears, you can download the stuff you paid for.
Exactly,
and you can use, their apps are pretty good. You can just stream their app and, it's just like...
Yeah, Bandcamp's great. Yeah, all my stuff is on there. And I mean, the Into the Fray is it's on all of them. And yeah.
And anyone who wants to check that series out to hear the winning composition, that's episode 3.
Yes, that is episode 3. It's 3 episodes.
Okay.
And I mean, they're all pretty sick. If you're a fan of boxing and you just like cool, kind of like dark sort of David Fincher-esque 90s meets kind of 80s vibes,
Cool.
The psychology of athletes and that sort of thing. It's great. It's if you have Bell Internet, you can just watch it on 5TV1. It's on there.
Cool.
Yeah, all 3 episodes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if everyone wants to hire you for a gig, ZacharyGreer.com.
Yeah, if anybody, if you're making anything cool, you need music, that's where you go. And
enroll in St. Thomas to take your course.
Yeah, and maybe they'll do it again next year too. Yeah. Actually, I think, I don't want to say anything, but there could be maybe there could be other courses that come out of it. Who knows?
Yeah.
If it I think it's going to be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we're going to get some people down on film and TV.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show, Zach. I'm stoked to hear too the piece you put out with Elm Street Quartet.
Yeah.
Or Elm City Quartet, because they always come to St. John.
Yeah.
And they're coming here actually next month for their holiday show.
Yes.
And, so I like to check them out from time to time. So I'll make sure to check them out in the spring if they're playing your piece.
Yes, we're gonna try to record that too.
Oh, wicked!
I want to make that like a full. I want to make that a proper release and an album and everything. Okay. I want to record that and stuff, and
Okay, cool.
Trying to make that a good, big, meaty project.
Wicked. Yeah, I look forward to it. Maybe that's a good reason to come back on the show and bring a couple of the members maybe.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be great. This is super fun. I'm glad that you're doing this. I like this sort of thing. It's my first interview, first podcast, radio thing. It's sick. I love it.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.